Well, hello and welcome to a very short of hosts Plain Talking UK podcast. Carlos here in the PTUK studios this week, and it's just like the olden days because it's just me and Matt this week. So hello, Matt.
You keep saying the word old. Would you pack that in,
All right,
please?
it's like a few years ago.
I know I had a birthday recently, but there's no need for that.
It's like before we used to do the live, the live shows, isn't it?
Oh,
It's
can you
just
remember
me and
those
you.
days? It was so easy. There was
Yeah.
none of this complicated stuff. We could.
Yeah. No one watching to make sure we done things wrong.
Quite
and,
right, absolutely. Yeah, we'd have to
yeah.
wait till next week when all the emails came flooding in.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome to episode 297 of the show. It's Saturday and it's the 7th of December, so we're casually creeping up to Christmas time.
Tell me about it.
And it's safe to say that I've had a busy week. I literally got back yesterday, or last night actually, from Oman.
You went somewhere warm,
from
you?
somewhere very warm,
Yeah.
much warmer than it is now. And I had a lovely time, lovely trip with BA. Big thanks to everyone at BA.
Tanya says, nice haircut, Matt.
Oh, he's been and seen Rob.
I have, yeah,
He's been and
absolutely.
seen Rob.
Yeah, it's normally better than this. I should apologise to Rob because I haven't bothered to do it this morning. This is the just out of bed look.
So we had a nice trip out in the 787-9 with BA in World Traveller Plus, or Premium Economy as you call it, which was lovely, really nice. And then on the way home we thought we were going to have to. Well, we were going to slum it in economy. So on the way home yesterday, we were in a Dash 8 in economy, and we had booked the last two seats, so the very last row of seats at the back of the plane, because there's two seats and no one there, so it's quite nice. The couple seats they call them. But when we got on board the aircraft yesterday morning in Oman. It's safe to say that BA did not make much money from that flight yesterday,
really? Oh, dear.
because the whole entire economy cabin, we all had a row of seats each.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Which was nice.
Okay.
I think we had 6 cabin crew to look after.
Wow. Okay, so you almost had one each.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. It was
one cabin crew to
not
every 2 passengers. Yeah, absolutely.
safe to say the takeoff yesterday morning from Oman was short.
Right.
And,
okay. Yes, I don't.
yeah.
There's not much of a run-up required.
No,
indeed.
But we had a nice flight back, a little bit of turbulence when we came in over Eastern Europe, which Gemma was in the middle of her dessert while we were having that, which that's quite amusing to watch. But yeah, we had a nice
such
flight.
a caring husband.
I know. Well, I was in my own row of seats, you see, enjoying myself.
Minding your own business, yes.
Minding my own business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But welcome to everyone who's joined us in the live YouTube chat room this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, or this morning, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
So good quick hello to Auntie Liz, Chris Griggs, Richard Adams, Tanya W. We've got Pilot Pip in the chat room, Jan Hubner in the chat room. We've got Masha. Hello to you, Masha, who joined us in the chat room this morning. And welcome to everyone who's joined us on this different time for the show this week. So we've got loads of stuff to bring you this week's show.
Before we start, can I just mention the John Hutchinson interview that took place this week?
What did Nev do on Wednesday this week?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So Nev went with a certain legend that is a certain Captain Nick, and they went and did a nice little interview. Guys, what you're looking at is a rough cut here, which is why there's no sound at the moment, which Nev has sort of shared with us, if you like, to just have a little bit of a taste. And it's just, guys, you are going to love this interview. I cannot wait to start bringing it to you. It is going to be a fantastic.
Now, I spoke to Nev yesterday,
whilst
on the shuttle bus to the car park, and Nev was telling me that apparently, John has done a lot of interviews in the last kind of few months.
Yes, of course, doing
for
books and stuff,
TV and radio as well, and for other bits and pieces about the book. Yeah. But Nev did tell me yesterday, Matt, that apparently he was really impressed with the fact that Nick asked him questions that no one else had asked.
And this is the thing. One of the things he's, as I say, I hope I'm not spoiling it for anyone by saying this, because I've got an advantage here because I've watched the first episode, if you see what I mean. And one of the nice things that was very, very clear is Nick had obviously sat down and read the book.
He has.
And then what he did was he chose questions that weren't answered in the book. So if you like, it's worth buying the book because these are like add-on. It sort of complements the book really nicely because it's sort of picking bits. And the very first question that Nick asked, and the first thing John Hutchinson said was, "Wow, that's an absolutely brilliant question." Guys, seriously, I cannot wait. Nev obviously has done his amazing job producing this together, and obviously with Captain Nick as the question master. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better combination, really, could you? So, excited.
According to Nev, this is going to be at least an 8 or 9 parter.
That's fantastic. Yeah, there's lots of content that was recorded. Yeah, cannot wait to start sharing that with you.
So we've got all the usual news this week coming up.
Yep.
We've got a military segment brought to you by Armando. Which is all in video form this week. We've got some feedback, video feedback from Evan Shue, which is really good. It's all about GA flying in thick fog, dust storms from across the pond. So that'd be great.
That sounds frightening.
I know. And we've got another instalment from the Dubai Air Show, where me and Nev are having a mooge round the A380, and Nev samples his favourite part of the aircraft, first class. And I sampled my favourite part of the aircraft, which was the shower and bathroom.
Right. Okay. Did you actually have a shower then?
No, I did. I had. It was good. Oh, you'd have to see. The video is great. You have to see the video. It's great. Yeah. But we do have a bit of news to bring you at the beginning of the show this week. So for those of you who are watching the live show now, this is a kind of you're there first kind of thing. Because those of you will know that next year in January, on the 11th of January, we are celebrating our 300th show. Yep. So it's safe to say we've it's been a bit of a struggle finding a venue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we knew we were never going to top the brilliance that was our 200th.
No. So I've tried my best to try and top the 100th and 200th show venues, but I've kind of got somewhere that's. It's good.
I'm really excited for this, actually,
so we are... I've just got to sign some paperwork, which I've got here in front of me here. Yes. And we are going to take over the function room, or the conference room, at the Renaissance Hotel at London Heathrow.
Now, people who are big plane spotters will know that the Renaissance conference room is famous for the fact that it's got incredible views of Heathrow's runways.
It has,
absolutely.
So I've just got to speak to the guys next week there, and tick some things and dot some I's and do some bits and pieces.
In other words, it's all done. He's just got to pay the money.
Exactly. I've got to pay the money. But we are going to take over that function room for the day on the 11th of January. So if anyone's listening,
Saturday,
if you're listening,
the 11th of January,
if you want to come and join us for the live show. We're going to do a live show for the 300th from the conference room. If you want to send us an email, podcast@planetalkinguk.com, just to let you know, because we have obviously got a limited amount of spaces for people there, but we are going to have food and drink, which is really nice.
I think, to be fair, I think there's space for about 70, I think. So,
absolutely. So that is the Renaissance Hotel at London Heathrow. It's quite a famous hotel because the roof, I think, is used for a spot of plane spotting.
Yes, absolutely.
I think. Some of the big rooms. So we've booked our rooms.
We have,
We've booked our rooms. Nev has booked his room.
There are rooms available, by the way, guys. So if you do want to make a bit of a weekend of it, get yourself onto the Renaissance website, and you can get
special rate.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, there are some special rates available. So if you are able to join us, then get
Alfie's
on with
booked his room. He's just shouting now. He's
shouting his approval.
He is, he just wants you all to know that he's booked his room in the doghouse.
Yeah, absolutely. So London location for us with our 300th from the conference room of the Renaissance Hotel, which is on the Bath Road, overlooking the runways at Heathrow. So if you can make it, guys, it would be amazing. Send us an email. So it's podcast@planetalkinguk.com. That's podcast@planetalkinguk.com, and we'll mention it again at the end of the show as well.
Yeah, and I'll also put all the relevant links and bits and pieces on our social media pages later on today. So there we go.
Yeah, so we're very much looking forward to that. It's going to be good fun, as I say, just after Christmas as well. So something to look forward to after post Christmas.
And obviously, because it's going to be about minus 400 degrees in January, we'll be in. It's a heated function,
indoors,
conference room, so we'll be inside. So looking forward to that. Oh, I can't wait, Matt.
Hang on, I was just. Right. So Chris Griggs has already emailed in. He's joining us.
Oh, Chris Griggs. Well done, Chris. Lovely. Excellent.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. We're just over the moon. It's good.
It's going to be good. Really looking forward to it. And it's going to be nice to. Armando also, I should say, is actually coming too. So bless him. He's flying over from the States to join us. So it'll be a real opportunity to talk to Armando one-on-one, because the guy is. We're so lucky to have him as part of the team He is the most fascinating man. So if you can make it Saturday the 11th of January at the Renaissance Hotel, be there or be square.
So then we have got lots to get through, and as always, we are going to start the show, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I certainly am.
And if you're ready, Armando. So kicking off this week's first news story, and as Nev's not here, I thought we'd start off with a BA story.
Oh, please be a nice BA
It is.
story.
It's a nice story. I've got nothing but love for BA right now.
Well, yes, that's true. Yes.
So this one is on the adsadvance.co.uk website, and the headline: BA named Airline of the Year.
Okay, right.
So it's in the centenary year, British Airways has been named Airline of the Year at one of the aviation industry's most prestigious award ceremonies, the CAPA's annual Global Aviation Awards for Excellence, which are held in Malta yesterday evening.
Oh,
so CAPA,
did they?
I know. They are I missed my
yes,
invitation.
Of course.
CAPA Centre for Aviation is one of the world's most trusted sources of market intelligence for the aviation and travel industry. Judges awarded BA the headline title of the night in recognition of its continuing commitment to innovation, investment in new aircraft, and renewal of its existing cabins so they look and feel new. Its new redesigned lounges as well were part of this kind of look, and also new dining across the cabins, and new bedding and new amenity kits, and also industry leading streaming onboard Wi-Fi and access to power at every aircraft seat. Speaking at the event, CAPA chairman Emeritus Peter Harbison said British Airways was famously the world's favourite airline in the 1990s, and it's taken some tough decisions to maintain its market position against the increasing competition. Under the leadership of CEO and Chairman Alex Cruz, British Airways has not been afraid to adopt new ticketing practices, service levels, and is now among the frontrunners of distribution change and technology adoption. At the same time as achieving an industry-leading ROIC, it's certainly 100 not out for one of the world's most famous aircraft brands. He says that we're now transforming British Airways so that we are fit for the future and investing £6.5 billion in new, more efficient aircraft, including new products, innovating with technology, and we are committing to a net zero emissions by 2050. BA has proud history of taking Britain to the world and bringing the world to Britain, and it's set to continue for years to come. Other airline winners included Air Baltic, Regional Airline of the Year, LOT, L-O-T, Airline Turnaround of the Year, and Spirit Airlines also got the Low Cost Airline of the Year award. So it's safe to say BA have certainly I think they've turned a corner now. They're getting back to where they should be. And I have to say, Matt, I'm not all jokes aside, we do have a funny sort of thing to say about BA every now and again. But the food was incredible.
Was really good.
Yeah. I have to say the food was fantastic. Even the economy food we had yesterday was really nice, well cooked, well presented.
BA to Armand as well.
BA there and back. We had premium on the way out, and the food is obviously served in a slightly different way with a slightly different menu. But the food standard, the drinks and stuff, orange juice, wine, water, beer, and I must admit I did dabble in a few more cans of the BA 100 Speedbird 100 beer,
right?
And I brought some home.
Did you? Right? Any excuse?
The crew were very nice to me yesterday.
Right. Yes, clearly.
Have some beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So moving on to
be actively encouraged.
the next story. The next story, which for you, Matt, is obviously a Ryanair one, but it's a bit of a Donald Trump's been putting his foot in again here with
just for a
Ryanair.
change. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a bit of an odd, not an odd story, I suppose, because the trouble is Airforce One always lands at Stansted, doesn't it? Obviously, because of the security requirements. Yeah. So this is the travelandleisure.com website, and the headline is: more than 500 Ryanair passengers diverted to different airports due to Trump's Airforce One delay in London. So more than 500 Ryanair passengers were diverted to other airports nearly 100 miles away while trying to land in London this week, as Airforce One was late taking off. So President Donald Trump was in London for the NATO summit and was flying back to the US on Wednesday night, but his flight was delayed, according to The Independent. The reason for the delay was not reported, probably because he was busy playing golf. The presidential jet was scheduled to leave London Stansted Airport, which is northeast of the city and tends to be less congested than Heathrow or Gatwick, but the airport also happens to be Ryanair's busiest base, and while it is less crowded, The Independent explained that there were no arrivals for more than an hour. Wow, that's huge for Stansted, isn't it? From 4:36 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. because traffic has to stay clear while Air Force One is moving. So when 3 Ryanair flights from Limoges, France, Lodz in Poland and Lisbon in Lisbon in Portugal flew into the city after Air Force One was scheduled to take off, they couldn't land, according to The Independent. The planes from both France and Portugal, both being 737s, were forced to circle with no clear end in sight. They finally decided to divert to Birmingham Airport and East Midlands, respectively. Well, I suppose they had concerns over fuel, didn't they? Because obviously they had I know they carry extra fuel to do a bit of, in pattern holding, but anyway, the flight from Lisbon decided to avoid circling near the city completely and diverted straight to East Midlands. All 3 planes refueled at their new airports before finally flying to Stansted about 2 hours later than originally planned. We worked closely with Essex Police and the US Secret Service in advance to develop a well-rehearsed plan for arrival and departure of POTUS. A representative for Stansted Airport told The Independent. However, the additional delay to the departure did unfortunately affect our schedule as we were going into the evening peak period. As always, we will work with all the relevant parties involved to review the process for accommodating Air Force One to ensure we minimise any disruption to our passengers in future. The paper, this is The Independent, also reported the Ryanair flights weren't the only affected planes. An EasyJet plane from Amsterdam was delayed from taking off to keep the air clear for Air Force One, and another EasyJet plane was forced to circle over London before being allowed to land more than 30 minutes late. So, there's not a lot we can say to this story, really. They have,
they have to do it. It's
they have
rules,
to do it.
Yeah.
It is inconvenient. 500 people were inconvenienced, but I guess that there's not really a lot you can do about, really, is there?
For me, it'd be one of those things where you could say to your mates, oh, you were delayed. Yeah, I was delayed. Why were you delayed? Trump, Air Force One.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad thing, does it?
No, I think it's quite, that'd be a good Facebook update. I'm late getting home, guys, because I'm just waiting for Air Force One to take off.
Yeah, that just. I suppose the trouble is you're not allowed to be sort of even see it take off. I guess, are you?
No, a lot of people have watched this from Stansted take off. There are good viewpoints, but no, it's all heightened security whenever Mr. Trump's around. Yeah.
Well, yes, I can understand why. The most hated. No, anyway. Sorry, moving on.
So Armando has very kindly sent us in a story for this week's show on the commercial segment. So we're going to hand things over to Armando.
Hey guys, I wanted to read this first story from Seattle. It comes from airlinerwatch.com. Boeing says the approval delays by regulators could cause the manufacturer to actually suspend the production of the MAX jets. In its letter to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Boeing referred to the size of the current 737 MAX order backlog and difficulties to keep up with the planned delivery dates due to the ongoing uncertainty. Boeing was expecting the FAA to lift the flight ban for its MAX jets around mid-December, but recent statements from the agency revealed that the U.S. regulators' review of revised training requirements could go beyond December of 2019. During the Dubai Air Show last month, FAA Administrator Stephen Dixon said that the agency did not finish its audits on the aircraft stall prevention system known as the MCAS. The 737 MAX MCAS is linked to the 2 crashes we've talked about. EASA, Transport Canada, Civil Aviation Administration of China have already declared that it would conduct their own reviews for the recertification of the aircraft. Indonesia's Civil Aviation Authority said it would allow the aircraft to return to service after all major regulators approve the changes made to the system and the pilot training. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation of India also announced that it was considering setting an experience threshold for pilots who will fly the 737 MAX on Indian operators. The 737 MAX is the fastest selling aircraft in the history of Boeing. It has been grounded since March 13th.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those stories that's just going to run and run, isn't it? It's
We've all seen the pictures online. Yeah, there's some really great overhead pictures at the Boeing plant where the Max is being produced, and you've got these aircraft parked in staff parking car parks or parking lots, and there's a great picture with this story as well. Matt, the links will be in the show notes for this story. There's a really good picture in this story that shows the kind of backlog of these aircraft, and I think we've said before that just stopping production while they clear the backlog is not a very cheap option for Boeing.
Do you think it will ever actually fly?
Oh, it'll fly again. It'll fly again. They'll recertify this. They'll be flying back. It'll be flying in 2020. There's no doubt about that. But it's just going to take so long to clear the backlog of aircraft for one. And don't forget as well, you've also got all the aircraft that were in use with airlines across the globe, which are now obviously been sitting there for all these months. They've obviously been keeping these aircraft maintained and running various systems on to keep these aircraft still working well. But it's going to take a lot of time to get all these aircraft, not just the ones that are being built, but also the ones, as I said, that are sitting there back into service again with the airlines.
I mean, it's an impressive picture. However you dress it up, it's sort of a little bit. I don't know. It makes me feel a bit sad, really. I've got to be honest.
It's sad, but they'll get through it. Boeing will get through that. We spoke, like I said, we spoke to one of the guys at Dubai Air Show, and Boeing were really positive about everything.
And I still maintain, I still stick by what I said about it. I think when it does finally go back into service, it will literally
be the safest aircraft.
because they literally. I mean, nobody will ever have confidence in Boeing ever again if they don't get this right, will they? I mean, that's the long and the short of it.
So thanks for that, Armando. And moving on to the next story, which is it's a foodie story. We haven't done a foodie story for a while on the show.
Here come the emails.
So no, this one is important for all you people who like to go green, and this one is on foodandwine.com. So in the past we've talked about edible things to have on aircraft to use, so people can eat the food from a plate and then eat the plate afterwards.
Right.
So this one, airline is testing edible coffee cups made from biscotti biscuits. I love biscotti biscuits. They're so nice.
How do they make it so it doesn't?
It's weird, isn't it? I know.
Yeah,
so early this year, Air New Zealand announced it would be taking significant steps to back on its use of disposable plastics, both in the air and on the ground. It removed all the single-use water bottles from its business, premier and premium economy cabins, which the airline says will keep 460,000 bottles from landfills every year and will cut carbon emissions by more than £660,000 annually. On top of that, it stepped passing out plastic sauce packets to business premier customers, swapping them for reusable serving dishes. And early this week, the airline announced it will be trading some of its plastic coffee cups for edible versions instead. The cups for this trial run are being produced by Twice, an Auckland company whose edible wares are currently being used in more than a dozen coffee shops throughout the country. It's terrific that Air New Zealand has partnered with the company to showcase its customers around the world that a little bit of Kiwi ingenuity and innovation could have really positive impact on the environment, while at the same time delivering a really cool and tasty customer experience. Does Alfie like biscotti biscuits.
I think he does. I think that's why he's so excited.
I think that's why he's so excited.
I think it's because Mum went out and she's just come home. I think that's why he's all excited.
So the cups themselves are made from vanilla-flavoured biscotti biscuits, the airline says. It's been a hit with customers who've nibbled on them so far. In addition to being used for coffee, they can also double as ice cream dishes. Air New Zealand has also permanently switched to paper and corn-based cups on its aircraft in all of its lounges. And a change that will keep an estimated 15 million plastic cups out of landfills. Unfortunately, the plant-based versions don't taste like vanilla. According to the BBC, some flyers with allergies or dietary restrictions have expressed concerns about the ingredients list, and Air New Zealand has confirmed that the cups are made with eggs, whilst twice says that they contain gluten and may contain traces of dairy or nuts. In 2017, KFC restaurants in the UK started serving coffee in edible cookie cups, which were all wrapped in a red logo and sugar paper and sealed with a vanilla icing. A handful of other bakeries and cafes have also experimented with edible cups, ranging from sculptured coffee mugs to shot glasses made from cookies and to chocolate-covered waffle cones that are a crucial part of a coffee in a cone experience. So good on Air New Zealand for this.
Yeah, I mean,
the pictures actually look quite nice.
They do, don't they? Yeah, they do look very edible. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And of course, off the back of this is very early doors, isn't it? It's very early doors, so I understand why people. I mean, I know a lot of people who've got gluten intolerances, and people who have got like wheat allergies. They've got dairy allergies, etc. So I completely get their concerns. But of course, I mean, this is the first attempt at doing it. I mean, people will now strive to make something that's much more. Well, of course, you haven't got the waste, so you eat it afterwards. You eat it. Absolutely, it's fantastic. There's not a lot to not like about this, is there?
Because biscotti is quite a dense biscuit. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It tastes
they
really
must
nice.
have to do something to make it, because the trouble is, if anybody's ever dunked a biscuit into a coffee,
normally just
including a biscotti biscuit, it will essentially disintegrate, which is lovely. Nice chewy surprise at the bottom of it. But Masha says she'd really quite like to try that. In the chat room there, she said, "I'd love to try that." I'm with Masha. I think that'd be amazing.
Captain Al would probably just eat the cups without the coffee.
Well, I don't know. Is he not a coffee? Anyway.
Yes. Actually, no, Captain Al would have these filled with ice cream.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I did mention that ice cream as an option, certainly. So, that's the way forward. Anyway, on to the next story.
This next story is good news for Airbus.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised really off the back of what we were talking about earlier. Boeing are obviously perhaps not everybody's favourite airline at the moment. This is on the simpleflying.com website, and the headline is Airbus surpasses 20,000 commercial aircraft orders. So
Blimey.
Airbus commercial aircraft numbers have hit a special number in November, with 222 orders added last month. The European aircraft manufacturer has logged over 20,000 commercial aircraft orders on its books. The number is cumulative and represents all orders taken since the company was started. It's a great milestone for manufacturers, which has experienced a great deal of success just in 2019 alone. As you can see, on Airbus's order page, we can see how orders break down within that 20,000 plus figure divided by family. So the A300/310 is 816. The A220, which is a very popular aircraft now, isn't it? That's the /320 model. That's 15,865. So the A330, that's both the 340 and the 350 variants, 3,126. And a slightly disappointing number here, A380, 251. Most
of which are Emirates.
Well, yes, indeed. As you can see, with the 15,865 orders, the Airbus A220, A320 family of aircraft represents nearly 80% of total orders. Of course, several factors explain this huge number. Firstly, the A300/310 programs have been discontinued, and the A380 production will be ending soon. Furthermore, there is certainly more demand for smaller aircraft as they fill the fleets of large flag carriers, small regional airlines and low-cost budget airlines. Lastly, the A320 family of jets has been re-engined, giving the programs further longevity whilst allowing them to retain the same model name. So it's, as I say, it's not really, certainly their success in 2019, I guess, is not that much of a shock, given obviously people are, I guess, understandably nervous about Boeing and their MAX
I wonder if they're taking on staff, because obviously with this massive backlog of orders of aircraft,
Yeah.
the Airbus factory must be like advertising for staff to come and work there.
Well, yeah,
with all this backlog of aircraft.
Well, I mean, it's, as you say, you can't argue with the success, though, can you? I mean, as you say, they've got to be doing something to fulfil those orders, or perhaps they're not. Perhaps they're just sticking with their existing. Because if something's been so successful, you'd almost sort of expect them to romp up production. Do you know what I mean? And sort of, concentrate resources.
Actually, I saw a story last night online. It's actually on Instagram. And one of my favourite airlines, my favourite country, Air Malta, they're actually now committed to. They're going to be purchasing some new A320 Neos, and also they're actually also, shockingly, I couldn't believe this. It was announced at a press conference in Malta that they're going to actually buy a couple of A321s.
Okay.
To do some longer distance flying from Malta. So.
Okay.
They're a big Airbus lover as well. So
yes, so we'll move on to the next story. That's got a slightly festive feel to it.
Oh, so we're going to hand things over to Armando for the next story.
Guys, I feel like I'm reaching Carlos level with finding aviation stories on ScaryMommy.com, and this is a nice, heartwarming Christmas story. This was actually from last year, but I think it's relevant this year. So while Christmas is widely accepted as a time where people should be spending with their families, that just isn't always possible. Some people have to do their jobs, and we've gotten pretty good at recognizing the sacrifice made by people like doctors and police and firefighters. But one person that most of us have probably overlooked that has to work on holidays is your flight attendant, and I'll add your flight crew. Hal Vaughn, whose daughter, Pierce Vaughn, is a flight attendant with Delta Airlines, certainly didn't overlook his daughter's work schedule last Christmas. Pierce was scheduled to work on 6 different flights on Christmas Day and the day after, so she wasn't able to be with her family. So her father, Hal, grabbed a seat on each and every one of those 6 flights so he could spend Christmas with his daughter. Mike Levy was sat next to Hal in first class on their flight from Fort Myers, Florida to Detroit, Michigan. He snapped a selfie of himself and Hal, as well as a photo of a smiling Pierce, and uploaded it to Facebook, where his description of this dad's sweet Christmas deed went viral. There's some great pictures here. He says, "I had the pleasure of sitting next to Hal on my flight home. His daughter Pierce was our flight attendant who had to work over Christmas. Hal decided he would spend the holiday with her, so he is flying on each one of her legs today and tomorrow around the country to spend time with his daughter. What a fantastic father. Wish you both a very happy Christmas." So, as the holidays are coming up, we've just had Thanksgiving, we got Christmas coming up. To all of us in the aviation industry, have a Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and I hope you get to see some family.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a lovely picture, isn't it? It's it seems like a very extreme length to go to, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think these are regional flights. I'd imagine within the US, so I'd imagine these are fairly kind of cheap, flights to book. And I expect if you being a member of the family, you probably get kind of discount as such for that. So
Alfie's also excited.
Alfie's
about that.
excited as well.
What's the matter with him today? He's normally so quiet.
No, but it's nice, obviously, because we have to remember, that in the industry that we all know and love, that families and friends do work over the Christmas period.
Absolutely.
And not everyone gets to spend Christmas Day and Boxing Day with their family.
With their family, which is always a shame. But hey, not everybody celebrates Christmas. I mean, there's not in comparison the entire world doesn't celebrate Christmas.
To be fair, if I work within the aviation industry, I would probably just say, I'll work Christmas Day.
Yeah, but you're a bit bar humbuggy about Christmas this year, aren't you? Yeah, honestly, what you like.
So moving on to the next story, which is on the businesstraveller.com website. And we talk on the show every now and again about new seat innovations. Obviously, we have the standing seats with Ryanair, don't we? Spoke about them. But this one is new folding airline seats.
Right.
So hopefully Matt will be able to put a picture up on these, because these are
I'll try.
Interesting.
We're having some
seats,
technical
to say
issues,
the,
but I will
say
try.
the least. So
Yeah.
while business class seats have been getting more spacious, more comfortable, and private over the years, the direction of travel for economy seats has been less luxurious. Airlines are focused on packing more passengers into narrower seats in configurations up to 10 across. Occasionally, they have created additional legroom by making seats thinner, also conveniently reducing aircraft weight, therefore fuel burn. But broadly speaking, the seats at the back of the aircraft look much the same as they did throughout the 20th century. So how to improve the experience, assuming airlines aren't out to shift the business model and provide bigger and better economy seats at significant extra cost to themselves? Yesterday, British company New Territory unveiled one possible answer, adding 2 wings within the seat back that can be folded out on both sides, allowing passengers to rest their head while also adding a layer of privacy from the seat next to it. The wings are padded for comfort and have lateral support to prevent movement. They can be manually folded out by passengers, with Luke Miles, New Territory's founder and chief creative officer, describing them as like origami. So it looks like a simple change, but having tried out the prototype yesterday, he said, business traveller can confirm it was very comfortable, or that it would certainly significantly improve the experience you have travelling in economy on when you're on your own, or in an aisle seat, or in the middle seat within the premium or economy cabins. Especially with the seat reclined, there was a real increase in privacy, and it would allow you to position yourself into a more comfortable sleeping position without feeling like you were intruding on the passenger next to you. A couple of issues seemed likely that they could emerge, such as quick wear of the seats from being handled and moved from the seat passenger behind while configuring it. The wings are also very robust. They do say this prototype, this is the actual prototype here, is still very robust, they told Business Traveller. It's simple but effective, and you can have it as a kind of bay for yourself to sit in. The big thing is that it gives you ability to sleep more easily. Now, having a look at these seats on the story, Matt, on the picture that it has on here,
They look quite comfortable, actually.
they look comfy, and I suppose, yeah, they do add privacy, I suppose, to the seat itself. But those seats do look incredibly thin, don't they?
Yeah, but again, we've said this before, isn't it? Where technology has moved on, things like the microfibers and all that kind of thing. It's much easier to make the seats sort of more comfortable or as comfortable as the old seats, but without having the need for massive amounts of cushioning and stuff. Things like memory foam and stuff have really changed everything from the thickness of mattresses to sort of cushions and stuff, haven't they? So I guess that it's just using newer technology to sort of get the same level of comfort that perhaps you would need a lot more padding for in the past.
The seats were comfortable enough in economy yesterday with BA.
How old was the aircraft
seats.
you were on yesterday?
Yeah, it was one of their older Dash 8s, so
Right.
it's probably about 4 or 5 years old.
I'm amazed that you don't know the exact model number, the year it was made, the first time it rolled off the production line.
I didn't actually do that yesterday.
What?
Because
slipping.
we got up so early.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But actually, on that note, a big thanks to the guys at Heathrow Tower for putting us on a remote stand at Terminal 5 yesterday, and we had to deplane using air stairs.
Now Jen Niffer will have been so excited about that.
These were not the truck ones. These are just like the freestanding.
Actual freestanding.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
We were in such a remote stand at Terminal 5 at Heathrow. Okay. We had to get off and get a bus.
Do you think Nigel had upset the tower in some way, perhaps?
Possibly, yeah. We had to bus to the Terminal 5, which was a bit
okay. I didn't know they still did that.
And it was a good 5 or 6 minute bus journey from the aircraft to the terminal building.
Wow.
So thanks to the guys at Heathrow Tower for
just what you need right at the very end of your.
But
your
in their defence, the FO did say before we got off the aircraft that we had arrived 25 minutes early, and we probably hadn't been caught them on the
perhaps the stand that you should have been at wasn't vacant.
Yeah,
there is every possibility it could have still been occupied, of course. Anyway, on to the next story. And this is on the Forbes.com website, and the headline is United Airlines to buy 50 ultra long range Airbus A320-1XLR aircraft in an estimated $6 billion deal. This is
Wow.
all very exciting, isn't it? So United Airlines just announced that it is purchasing 50 new A321XLR aircraft from Airbus. The carrier plans to use the long-range jet to replace and retire its aging fleet of Boeing 757-200 aircraft, the last of which was built in 2004. United says that the A321XLR lowers overall fuel burn per seat by 30% compared to previous generation aircraft. The plane can fly at its listed cruising speed of 514 miles per hour for more than 9 hours. The lower fuel burn, combined with greater fuel storage, gives the A321XLR a listed range of 4,700 nautical miles. It also brings United closer to its goal of reducing its carbon footprint by 50% relative to 2005 levels by 2050. Although the A321XLR can carry up to 244 passengers in a single class layout, an Airbus source has said that United will seat around 170 to allow for lie flat beds in the business class cabin. The plane will also offer LED lighting, larger overhead bin space and Wi-Fi connectivity. The A321XLR is part of the successful A320 family of single-aisle jetliners, which includes the A318, A319neo, the new engine option, the A320neo and the A321neo. Airbus, whose tagline for planes is unbeatable fuel economy, say that they have over 7,000 orders for the A320 family aircraft, which sort of ties in nicely with the story we had earlier. United, which will begin receiving the A321XLR in 2024, plans to use it on transatlantic routes from its east coast hubs of Newark and Washington. It's also possible that the plane's long range will let United fly it to Europe from Chicago O'Hare. Oh, cool. The distance from Ord to Paris, Charles de Gaulle obviously, is about 6,656 kilometres or 3,600 nautical miles, putting the route well within range of the A321XLR.
Good to see that on the story that this is on. If you go scroll down further to the story, they've got a picture of the A380.
Oh, have they? Right, okay. Just as well Nev's not here, he will have picked up on that.
But no, it's good news.
You go. In fact, there is the story that I was reading. Look, and as mentioned.
Oh, it's leaving those chemtrails.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that's a doctored picture by any chance?
Nasty chemtrails.
The angles are all wrong and everything there, aren't they?
It does look a bit weird, that picture,
does,
to be
absolutely.
fair.
There's something not right there, definitely.
No, I've not, as of yet, I've been on the A321, but not the A321XLR. It'd be nice to have some feedback from listeners if you've been on one of these aircraft, flown on one of these A321XLRs, to see what they're like inside. One of the things I will make a note, it says on here about the Wi-Fi and stuff that Wi-Fi connectivity on these 321s with United. We never had that yesterday on the Dreamliner.
Yeah.
No Wi-Fi at all. Not a smidgen of Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Although it was on the 350 and the 747 that we flew on to Dubai a few weeks ago.
Well, perhaps perhaps they haven't put it on for whatever reason. Perhaps it wasn't originally intended to be used for that route. I don't know. Who knows? Anything is possible.
Moving on to the next story,
and
this next story is brought to us from Armando. So, Armando, if you're ready.
So this story is from General Aviation News, and it's for anybody that's interested in becoming a professional pilot. And it goes a new 3-year program designed to alleviate the pilot shortage. So this new program from Purdue University, they've launched, designed to get pilots into workforce a year earlier. A new 3-year program was introduced this year by Purdue University's Polytechnic Institute, with the new program being a win-win according to officials, who note it will get more flight students trained in the air a year sooner. It is also expected to save students $20,000 to $30,000 in tuition and living expenses. So there is a global shortage of pilots, and we are part of the solution, said engineering professor of aviation technology and the head of the School of Aviation and Transportation Technology. This is the first year for the new program, with new flight students starting their studies in the summer. They will complete the traditional 4-year program in 3 years, according to the officials. The new simulator technology is a key factor in this program. Purdue's Hawker 900 XP full flight simulator, which uses the latest technology, began operations in September. The simulator is qualified at the highest level by the FAA, helping students earn qualifications as a pilot or second in command. The new program also utilizes summertime flying, according to Brian Dillman, Associate Professor in Aviation and Transportation Technology. The 3-year program leverages better flying weather during Indiana's summers and improves our aircraft utilization, which is a win-win solution for all. The program comes as worries continue about the shortage of pilots in the aviation industry. The pilot numbers have dropped almost 30% in the last 30 years because fewer new pilots are entering the industry, according to information from the FAA. In addition to getting students into the job market sooner, partnerships between Purdue and the airline industry also allow students to earn specific technical proficiency for Airbus, Boeing, and other manufacturers before they graduate.
I mean, this is great news, isn't it?
It's one of those stories that makes me wish I was 20 years younger.
Only 20.
Yeah, at least. To go back and have the ability to do this kind of program like this and have the flight
definitely.
training funded and stuff. I think it provides that extra level of availability.
Do you know what I've just
to younger
noticed?
people? What's that?
He shaved his beard off.
Did he?
He's got no beard.
Yeah. Beardless Armando.
Yeah, which is how it was for many, many years, to be fair. But I suppose with the excitement of the new job, perhaps one has to be a little bit more clean.
Perhaps he stuck his head out the window whilst, flying and it just...
Right, okay.
Possibly.
Is that a thing?
He flies fast.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah. That'll be the military background.
But, no, they keep going about the pilot shortage and stuff. Airlines need to pull the fingers out of their proverbials and offer more programs. I
do feel
people.
that the airlines could do more to sort of help with the pilot shortage. I mean, it's very commonplace, for example, in the coaching industry, where a lot of people will actually help you to pass your
and
test,
then tie you into a kind of,
and then tie you into a sort of 5-year deal or a 3-year deal,
yeah.
or, and if you leave before that, you have to pay some of it back or whatever. I'm sure there are ways that that the industry could help itself, if you like, to help with this shortage. But I guess the trouble is it's quite a financial commitment, isn't it?
Definitely, and for the parents as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's more, why aren't the airlines doing more themselves to solve this issue?
Yeah. So going on to the next story, and this one is on the font-loving Flight Global, and the headline on here: Air France tests autonomous baggage truck at Toulouse. Now, obviously, we've all seen these autonomous vehicles at airports being trialled and stuff, but this is a baggage truck, which is quite nice. So Air France has embarked on tests with a driverless autonomous baggage tractor, which is being used to deliver luggage to aircraft at Toulouse Airport. Developed by a cooperation between ground vehicle manufacturer Chariot and autonomous systems specialist Navaya, the 80-135 tractor, known as Autonom Tract, operates between the baggage area and sorting area and the aircraft stands. Testing the vehicle under real airport conditions commenced on the 15th of November this year. The test is the first step to a more widespread rollout of autonomous vehicles at our airports, say Air France. Once the baggage sorting facility receives passengers' luggage, an Air France subcontractor places the items carefully in containers attached to the tractor's train. The location of the Air France aircraft on which the baggage is destined to be loaded is programmed into the unit through a touchscreen into the navigation system on board the truck. It then departs on a route the aircraft to the aircraft stand using a 360-degree detection system and decision-making technology, and stops nearby, allowing ground personnel to retrieve the baggage and load it on manually to the flight before the tractor is then dispatched back along its arrival route to the sorting area. The test is a concrete step to designing a smart airport, more innovative and connected and more efficient to customers, says Toulouse Airport Chairman Philippe Crébassa. Now, Matt was just running the video through there, and these trucks are obviously, these are ones that were originally manned. They've had the autonomous system put on board.
And that's the only thing that bothers me about this story.
What, it's doing someone out of a job?
It's doing someone out of
Yeah.
a job. And there are so many. I mean, everybody who listens to this show would do anything to do anything at an airport.
Oh, I'd quite happily drive it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, this is the thing. That's more about the excitement. You know,
I mean, these are definitely got to be on their A game.
I mean, they're a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I get why this is being developed, but you know, this is only going to lead to people losing their job, isn't it? That's the only outcome.
It's a while out yet, I
from
think.
it. Yeah, maybe, but you know,
But I tell you what, after seeing how busy that ramp was yesterday on our remote stand at Heathrow, and you know, seeing the things whizzing around, baggage carts, you know, all the different vehicles and stuff that are at the airport, these have definitely got to be really good at not hitting things, because they are a busy area. Area.
There are even you know, only because during our CPC training course, I mean, there are driverless trucks now that you know, that you can go out. Well, I mean, they're manned for the moment, but essentially the driver can put his feet up and sort of the thing will actually do it on its own. You know, I don't know. I just feel like
isn't that
it's
what
innovation
isn't
for
that what flight
innovation's
deck
sake.
crews do? Hit the autopilot button, sit back, put the feet up.
Yeah, maybe in an Airbus, because it's got
They've got the tray there.
They've got the auto land button in the Airbus.
Auto start.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, as I say, my worry is it's doing people out of work.
That's the main thing.
When they don't need to put people out of work. I mean, it's not like these airports aren't profitable. Let's be honest. So, I don't know.
No, I've seen the price of the food there.
What's the matter with humans? What is the
Exactly.
matter with having humans involved? Anyway, on to the next story. This is on the Flight Global, and the headline is the SIA. Is it SIA or SIA? How am I supposed to say that?
Singapore Airlines cargo.
Right, okay, says the SIA cargo 747 freighter involved in engine pod strike. So the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, the ATSB, is investigating an engine pod strike involving a Singapore Airlines cargo freighter that occurred on the evening of the 28th of November. The Boeing 747-400F, registered 9 Victor Sierra Foxtrot Oscar, was performing a missed approach procedure at Sydney Airport when the number 1 engine pod struck the ground during the go-around. Oh, wow. Responding to Flight Global's queries, SIA says the subsequent landing was uneventful. Engineers assessed the damage to the aircraft and a decision was made to delay the outbound flight, SIA says. The ATSB has classified the incident as serious and will collect evidence and other relevant information. It is unclear if there was any other damage to the aircraft. The ATSB anticipates investigations to wrap up by the second quarter of next year. The SIA said, why does it take so long to do something like that? Second quarter of next year, so you're looking sort of more or less summertime next year. Anyway, the SIA says that there were two crew members with no passengers on board the aircraft. Singapore Airlines is cooperating fully with the ATSB and Singapore's Transport Safety Investigation Bureau and is also undertaking its own investigation into the incident, the airline adds. Syrian Fleet's data shows that the Pratt & Whitney PW4000 powered freighter was first delivered to SIA in 2004. It suffered major damage in 2006 as a result of an unspecified incident and was stored at Brussels for repairs. That's interesting.
This aircraft's been dinged a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like it's had a bit of a rough life.
Really, yeah.
Poor little thing.
But, engine pod strike. It'd be interesting to see.
Now, I mean, there are
this.
lots of pilots who listen to this show and people who will be far more understanding of the procedures involved in this than perhaps me and Carlos. I'm just intrigued to know why an investigation of this nature, I suppose you could say any investigation these days, like when you have an investigation, like, you know, I can understand why it might take 1 month or 2 months to sort of gather all the data and this kind of thing, but perhaps somebody could explain to me why in this day and age it takes until the second quarter of 2020 before they're able to release a report. I mean, this just sort of...
We might find out in the
bothers me a bit.
near future.
Oh, really?
Hopefully, if I can G up the guest that I've got, hopefully G'd up to come on the show.
Right. Okay. Well, no. I mean, because it's fascinating. I mean, I'm sure there's a very good reason why it takes all this time to do it, but I can't. My very limited knowledge, I can't see why.
So the last story in the news folder this week is on the Flight Global website again. We're using and abusing them this week. And China Airlines picks Pratt & Whitney to power the A321neo. China Airlines has selected Pratt & Whitney engines for its fleet of A321neo aircraft. The PW1 1100G engine will cover up to 30 A321neos that China Airlines has on order on option. The SkyTeam carrier has also signed with Pratt & Whitney for long-term engine support under the engine maker's Engine-Wise Comprehensive Service Agreement. Yes, you get those with cars, you get them with engines. Look,
You certainly do.
I bet it's more a month though. So
yeah.
China Airlines first disclosed plans to lease A321neos for regional narrow-bodied operations in May at the Paris Air Show. A month later, the carrier confirmed decisions ordering 11 and leasing another 14. It later added more 321neos in October via lease from a US lessor, Air Lease. Serum Fleet's data indicates the airline has 88 aircraft currently in operation, including 14 A350-900s and 23 A330-300s. Now, for those of you who watched the show, we had the interview, didn't we? Was it last week with Nev, who interviewed the guy at Pratt?
At Pratt,
Pratt and Whitney, big engine manufacturer in the US and a popular manufacturer as well. It's safe to say that it's one of those kind of things where I think we all know how much engines cost. When aircraft are retired to the boneyards and desert yards, airline engines are sold for quite a considerable amount of money on the second-hand market. But obviously, with these brand new shiny engines from Pratt & Whitney, obviously China Airlines have thought, well, we'll have those.
Actually, going back to the previous story, Masha has just said in the chat room here, if you ever read the NTSB or equivalent local agency reports, they are extremely detailed. They really have no stone unturned. I'm not that surprised that they take that long. That's fair comment. No, that is fair comment. Yeah.
So that completes the commercial news segment for this week. So coming up next, we've got some listener feedback that's been sent in by listener Evan Shue.
Yeah.
I got a chance to have a little preview of this actually last night. While I was doing the show notes.
I see.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And Evan talks on this about his GA flying, his latest GA flying, and about flying. Thick. One thing I never thought about in Australia: thick fog.
Thick fog, really?
Thick fog.
Okay.
Dust storms. I mean, obviously, with dust storms. And we're going to bring that right to you.
Indeed. Thanks, as always, to Nev for the production on this, by the way, as well.
G'day, PT UK. It's Evan here from Down Under. I just thought I'd drop you a quick message to tell you about some of the flying adventures I've had in the second half of 2019. So the first one was up to the Ralston Air Park, and they call it the Celebration of Aviation. It's a weekend event. The Ralston Air Park is a private air park with hangars being built and some houses, so people will live actually on the airport. It's got 2 grass runways, and I got to fly an Australis Cirrus, which is like the premium model designed for Australia. So I was a little bit chuffed that I was allowed to borrow that one. And it was my first underwing camping experience. Luckily, the weather was really, really great. It was really nice during the day. A little bit cold at night time, but the only downside was there was thick fog each morning. So some people trying to fly in the morning had to wait in nearby airports. The event itself was an excellently run event. Lots of food vendors and entertainment in the evenings. And the vibe was just very positive. It was just a really nice weekend. And the gentleman that I parked my plane next to actually is a customer of ours and kindly took me for a ride in his Tiger Moth. So that was really nice. So that was my first underwing camping event. Then later on in September, we flew up to Parkes, which is also in New South Wales. And this is an event called AirVenture Australia. We had a fun time at the event despite some difficult weather. It was incredibly dry in that region, and a dust storm actually blew in and forced the whole site to be evacuated for a few hours. They had quite strong winds and they were concerned about the marquees that they'd set up. So thankfully the front passed through and the final day was almost perfect. The event itself was trying to be a little bit too commercialised, so yeah, it just didn't have the same chilled out vibe. But we had a great time as a team because it was a rare trip away that the whole team was in attendance. So so that was quite good. The flight home was really good, except for we were a bit worried about last light, so we couldn't mess about on the way home. We had to get going and keep an eye on the time. Then in October we flew back to New South Wales, this time a place called Narromine, and it was for an event called Ozfly, which is run by AOPA and also the SAAA, which is the Sport Aircraft Association of Australia. They're the home builders and kit build and experimental aircraft association. There was a bit of tricky weather to get out of Melbourne. We'd had rain the night before, about 10 mil, and we had to time our departure from Moorabbin to go in between bands of showers that it would come through. Thankfully, it was in the end, once we got going, we were able to pick the gap and it was fine. And on the way up, we got out of the Melbourne area and we actually climbed up through a big hole in the clouds right up to 10,000 feet to get above the clouds and where it was smoother and better winds. And it was my first time flying as high as 10,000 feet. And then on the way down, we got my personal best ground speed. It was 212 knots, which was pretty exciting. It made for some an exciting arrival into Narromine. We camped under wing once again, and this was right near where all of the event happened. It was a little bit of a dust storm that came in on Saturday. It forced the planned dinner under the stars indoors, but when I got back to my tent on the Saturday night, there was a blanket of dust covering almost everything. So that was a bit of a shock, and after having a couple of libations. But other than that, it was a very enjoyable and sociable weekend. The area itself has been hit hard by drought recently, and we were very happy to be able to support the local Aero Club and the Soaring Club by purchasing delicious meals and drinks and just generally giving them some support. So they were very happy to host us. The flight home was uneventful, except for a couple of lowish clouds around the Melbourne area. And then finally, just more recently, I finally got to take one of my oldest friends for a fly. His name's Andrew. He's my best man at my wedding. And when he turned 40 in January, I promised I'd take him for a flight for his birthday present. Well, we tried 2 or 3 times through the year to actually get a date that would work for the both of us. So we ended up, it took us all the way until November to get a date. It was good because it was really worthwhile trip. I always wanted to go and see the Wilson's Promontory, which is a little area in the south of Victoria. And we'd camped there and hiked there as teenagers, but I really wanted to see it from the air, so this was a great opportunity. So we headed out of Moorabbin. This particular day we'd had some bad weather in the lead up to it, but this day was quite nice, so it was really busy at Moorabbin. Andrew got the full idea of how organised craziness Moorabbin is. There was even a guy that dropped the F-bomb on the radio because he had a door pop open on takeoff. And when he came back around, the tower had cleared him to land again. And he accidentally had lined up on the wrong runway. And when he noticed, he said, "Oh, I've lined up on the wrong runway. Oh," and then dropped the F-bomb. So yes, that's another first for me. I haven't heard the F-bomb on the aviation radio before. But the rest of the flight went, without any worries at all. We cruised down to Wilson's Prom, dropped down to about 1,300 or 1,400 feet over the water, and cruised around the promontory. I got to see the lighthouse, which is the very southern tip. And once we were clear of the more sensitive areas, we actually dropped down to 500 feet over the beach and just cruised along the beach, which was awesome fun. Andrew had a wonderful time. He seemed to really enjoy himself. It was his first time as an adult in a small aircraft, which is really cool. He had one flight in a Cessna when he was a young kid, but he barely remembers it. So yeah, this was a very different experience for him. So yeah, that's what I've been up to in the last few months. I've hopefully got some more flights planned over the summer, if summer ever comes here. It's been quite cold, windy and wet so far. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that, and thanks again for all the great work you've been doing, PTUK. Have a great 2020.
Oh, thanks, Evan.
Thanks,
Great
Evan.
video, and thanks to Nev
Awesome.
for putting that together for us as well. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, keep those coming, please.
Do you know,
Some
when you
lovely
look
views,
at the
isn't there?
scenery, when you look at the
yeah.
views and stuff there, I mean, I know obviously in the US you get some great views when
Yeah.
you're flying GA
Yeah.
out there, and in the UK we get some good views.
Yeah,
but
If it's ever not raining.
If it's
yeah.
not raining,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in Australia, those some of those views and stuff, and fog, just fog.
Really? Yeah, I bet. Yeah, but see, I would never have thought in a million years that in somewhere like Australia you would get fog.
Thick fog.
I can't get my head around that. I literally cannot get my head around it.
I mean, dust storms, like we said, dust storms.
Yeah, but then Dubai's famous for those as well, isn't it? There are certain times of the day where you have to go inside because of a dust storm.
Do you know the day after we flew back to the UK from Dubai, from the air show, it absolutely poured with rain.
With rain, yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'd had say one of my friends lives out there. Had sent a couple of videos actually of like actual torrential downpours in like where it's literally flooding malls and everything. I mean, like when it barely rains in Dubai, but boy, when it does.
Funny enough, one of the people that we spoke to who got us the access to the control tower at Dubai, at the air show, said that the conference, the actual centre, the actual inside exhibition centre at Dubai, where the air show is, they built the roofs in such a way with gullies, so the roofs are pitched with gullies in the middle.
Okay.
And apparently, because the sand, there's obviously sand, lots of sand blowing around, the sand fills the gullies. Blocks the obviously the downpipes for the water, and when it rains heavily, the water just builds up on the roof. And a few years back, they had an air show in Dubai, and it rained heavily, and apparently parts of the ceiling collapsed because of the weight of the water and sand on the roof.
Wow,
so,
that's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Evan. Do please
Evan.
keep those coming in. Feel free, if you're listening and inspired by that, feel free to send in any videos that you've been doing, any flying or whatever.
And don't forget, you can WhatsApp us, Matt.
You can, yes, absolutely. It's +44. He's on me. Sorry, it is +44 757 22 491 66. So it's +44 or 0 if you're in the UK. 757 22 491 66.
So next up, then we have got the military segment. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes.
And if you're ready, Armando. Yeah. You're frozen, Armando.
This first military story is from Flight Global, and it is regarding the Air Force's new search for a airborne command, control, and communications operations center to replace the Boeing E-4B, and the service is asking for U.S. defense manufacturers for input. The Survivable Airborne Operations Center Weapon System, the SAOC, is to replace the legacy E-4B National Airborne Operations Center, which is a militarized version of a Boeing 747-200, which is approaching the end of its service life, according to USAF pre-solicitation notice posted on December 4th. The SAOC is a linchpin of the U.S. Department of Defense National Military Command System. It is designed to be a mobile battle command for the U.S. President, the Secretary of Defense, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. In case of a national emergency or destruction of ground command and control centers, the SAOC aircraft will provide a highly survivable command, control, and communications platform to direct U.S. forces, execute emergency war orders, or coordinate actions by civil authorities. Additionally, the SAOC provides outside the continental United States travel support for the Secretary of Defense and his staff to ensure statutory command and control connectivity. The U.S. Air Force has 4 E-4Bs in its fleet, and it is looking for the next SAOCs to be based on a commercial derivative aircraft as well. One likely candidate for the next aerial command center is the Boeing 747-8, which is also the base variant for the VC-25 Bravo. The next Airforce One, the VC-25 Bravo, will replace the VC-25 Alpha, which is based on the 747-200 also. However, production of the Boeing 747 is facing uncertainty after the commercial aircraft's fuselage supplier, Triumph, started to shut down its Hawthorne, California factory last month. Boeing has about 3 years of orders, 18 aircraft, in its backlog as of 30 September and has not announced the end of the aircraft's production. Specifications for the Pentagon's next command and control aircraft are not given in the notice, though the Air Force says it intends to release information to interested defense companies during its first industry day in February 2020 at Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts. The service is asking for companies to RSVP by 20 December. The E-4B Flying Command Center has seating for up to 112 people across 6 sections: a command work area, a conference room, a briefing room, an operations team work area, communications area, and a rest area, according to the Air Force. The Legacy aircraft has a 12-hour range, though its flight time can be extended by an undisclosed amount through aerial refueling. To provide direct support to the President, the Secretary of Defense, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, at least one E-4B NAOC is always on 24-hour alert 7 days a week, with a global watch team at one of many selected bases throughout the world. The aircraft connects the U.S. government leaders through an advanced satellite communication system, and the E-4B is battle-hardened against several high-end threats. The E-4B is protected against the effects of electromagnetic pulse and has an electrical system designed to support advanced electronics, a wide variety of communications equipment, says the Air Force. Other improvements include nuclear and thermal effects shielding, acoustic control, and improved technical control facility, and an upgraded air conditioning system for cooling electrical components. The E-4B is also used to support the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, as a command center during relief efforts after natural disasters, such as hurricanes and earthquakes, says the Air Force.
I mean, it's, again, another fascinating project.
I think you forget, don't you, that Airforce One, or the aircraft in question here, is the E-4B is based on the 747-200. Yeah, that's proper
quite
old school.
An old frame.
It's probably one of the few still flying in the world, because most of these were phased out years ago. Most of these sit in boneyards.
I suppose a lot of it is because perhaps it doesn't.
It's been heavily modified.
Yeah, and of course it doesn't do the amount of flying that your average jetliner is doing, because obviously it's only in use when the president is going somewhere. So I guess you can make an older frame last longer because it hasn't had the amount of stresses.
And it's also incredibly well looked after.
Oh well, I dare say yes. Yeah. It's a very regular.
I'm looking forward to when they obviously, because they're got these two 747-8s, the brand new ones that are being obviously going to be done or fitted out to take over from this aircraft. Looking forward to when that comes online eventually.
Yeah,
so moving
absolutely.
on to the next story, and good news for anyone who loves aircraft sims, because and it's in the US Air Force.
Yes.
This one is on military.com, and the headline: Air Force F-35 simulator will let pilots fly in formation and talk to other aircraft.
Ah, that's interesting.
So when the US Air Force gets its first F-35 Lightning II distributed mission training simulator system at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada in spring, pilots will have the ability to fly virtually as a group alongside other aircraft and practice exchanging information across a network, according to Lockheed Martin officials. Wow. When the F-35 deploys to a fight, we know it's not going by itself, they said. Vice President of F-35 Training and Logistics for Lockheed spoke. McIntosh spoke during the Inter-Service Industry Training Simulation Education Conference, or ITSEC conference, in Orlando, Florida on Tuesday this week. So by allowing our warfighters, he said, to really bring in all the other assets in virtual environment and practice that to ensure they get high-end training in these dense and immersive environments, it's going to be a game changer, he added. McIntosh said the distributed mission training simulator has been in testing for months and is in the final stages of integration before the technology is introduced in the spring. It's not just F-35s, though, that can bring a virtual reality environment to the network, regardless of whether it's located, he said. According to the company, the simulator creates an interoperability across military platforms for continuation training for large force exercises. We expect the capability to be used in virtual flag exercises, allowing warfighters to practice complex training scenarios with other platforms virtually and for integrating training operations together. Lockheed said in a statement to military.com, the Air Force will be the first to use the technology, with the expectation that it will continue to be rolled out throughout the F-35 enterprise and into the future, Lockheed says. The Defense Department has put an emphasis on group training, with other services attending their own digital training initiatives. For example, a priority in the Army has been the synthetic training environment, also known as the STE. Engineers collect data to reconstruct cities, mountain-sized bunkers, etc., to more accurately represent what soldiers will experience, thus getting a more authentic representation of what they may face in contact. Now, I suppose we always think about sims and stuff, don't you, Matt? We all went the 7.3 sim for our 200 show.
But they're so realistic,
and you have
though, aren't they?
ground sort of equipment and other aircraft. When you are flying, you can have those, and they're kind of they're there. They're not actual controlled by someone else.
No.
But to have the ability to have a simulator where you can, have other aircraft and talk to the aircraft, and
absolutely make it a more sort of immersive experience.
Yeah. It's a really. I dread to think how much the system costs.
But mind you think, like in the world of online gaming, gaming. It's been very commonplace that you can talk to the other people that your other members of the army force, if you like. You've been able to do that for ages. So I guess this is just sort of joining the club.
I'll tell you what. I'd love to, but I bet there's a few people who listen to the show who would love to have a go in an F-35 sim.
Yes, I bet.
Jonathan Warner being one of them.
I dare say he would be quite excitable.
Yeah,
yes,
that must
indeed.
be one hell of a sim to have a go in.
Yeah, I bet. Anyway, on to the last military story. This is on Flight Global again, and the headline is: Spain has selected the Pilatus PC-21 single-engined turboprop to replace its aged fleet of jet-powered Casa C-101 trainers. So tender documents indicated that Madrid will pay 204 million euros, that's $226 million for those who are interested, for 24 PC-21s plus simulators and a logistics package against a budget of 225 million euros. Pilatus's bid offered the best value for money, according to a contract award and notification published on the Spanish government's procurement website. Under the contract, the first 6 aircraft are due to be delivered by the end of 2020, so not far then actually to wait before they arrive. Another 6 before the 31st of August 2021, and the remainder by April 2022. Pilatus faced competition for the requirement of the Beechcraft T6 and the Embraer EMB 314 turbo Tucano. Is it Tucano? Apologies if I
Certainly
said
is,
that. Yeah, apologies if I said that wrong. Anyway, the Syrian fleet's data records the Spanish Air Force as operating 58 C-101s with an average of 37 years. Madrid also employs 19 Northrop F-5Bs as advanced trainers. No decision has so far been taken on their replacement. Spain is the latest country to switch from jet to turboprop-powered aircraft for the training mission. France in 2017 selected the PC-21 to replace its Dassault Dornier.
Dassault.
Dassault. I do that. Yeah, Dassault, isn't it? I do that every time. Sorry. Alpha jet fleets. An interesting. I don't know. Turboprop is still vaguely jet related, isn't it? Because turboprop is
it's
basically
cheaper to run. I think that the various training outfits in the world choose an aircraft like this because they are cheaper to run and maintain. I mean, the PC-21, just for the benefit of you guys and girls listening to the show, there's a quick.
I like that.
I know.
Richard Adams has said the F-35 sim for the 500th. What a great idea!
Yeah, we'll G that up now.
yeah. It might take that long, to be fair.
So the PC-21 has. God, we need to start saving now.
Yeah,
the PC-21 has a Pratt & Whitney Canada PT-6A turboprop producing 1,600 horsepower. Wow. That's slightly more than the Cessna 150 that
do you
flown.
think? Right.
5-bladed constant speed propeller, maximum speed of 426 miles an hour. That's fairly nippy.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Has a G limit for aerobatic use of +8 and -4 G. For those of you who do aerobatic flying, Armando will know what that's all about. But has a crew of 2 though, so it's a good training aircraft. And I've seen one of these at an air show before, and they are fairly nippy.
Right
in the sky, so they are. It's a good trainer. It's a good trainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I mention where the backdrop of this picture was taken at the top of the show? I can't remember. Did I?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, taken by Lee this morning.
They're gone now.
When I last messaged, I don't know. They were sat because of a certain French air traffic control strike. He was just before we started the show. He was still sat on the tarmac.
Well, if you're listening to the show still, Lee and Lisa, have a lovely holiday.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just worth noting as well on that last story, the United Kingdom, Kinetic, on behalf of the Empire Test Pilot School at Boscombe Down, operates 2 of those aircraft for their advanced training.
Oh, they're advanced training. Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Award winning.
So thanks for that military segment, Armando. And hopefully he'll be back next week with us.
No, he won't be here next week. He did say in the bottom of the email. Next week I'm off to Denver.
He's off to Denver?
Yeah, to begin training for my new airline.
That's acceptable then.
Yeah. So it's doubtful I'll be on the show next Friday. But if
Nev should be back. And I'm sure Armando has sent some stuff in.
That's like nearly 3 weeks now where we haven't had Nev.
We need Nev.
To miss
need a Nev. But don't panic.
I'm missing my tech pal.
Don't panic, though, everyone, because Nev is coming up next.
Is he?
On the show. So coming up next, we have got another instalment from the Dubai Air Show, where in this particular bit of video, me and Nev have a wander through Emirates A380.
I still can't believe you had a shower in public.
Nev has a little look at his favourite part of the aircraft, first class, and I have a look at the showers. So for those of you who watch the show, you may know that we sometimes occasionally talk about the showers on board the A380, and here I am in the shower bathroom here on board the A380, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of space in here actually, to be fair. Sink and nice fresh towels, very nice fresh fluffy towels actually, and plenty of mirror space you can see, and space to hang your clothes while you're showering. And just in front of me here is the shower, which I'm sure Nev will be able to get on the camera there. And actually in the shower itself, if you want to come in and have a quick look here, just around the corner, the shower is actually quite a good size shower, all good for anyone 6 foot tall to get in and have a nice hot shower. And like I said, the space in here is actually quite roomy for a shower room. Now I know that you get, I think you get 10 or 15 minutes space or time to go in here and have a shower. But I must say, if I had the ability to go travel in first class and use this facility, I think I definitely would. But yeah, it's great to finally have a look and see what this is like in here. So I hope we one day get a chance to have a go in this awesome aircraft.
As you know, I have a penchant for the BA product, but today I'm on an Emirates A380, and it is very nice indeed, let me tell you. Currently in first class. I can't even begin to describe how nice this is here in terms of the way it's laid out, the screen size, the drinks cabinet, the touchscreen control for everything. Absolutely brilliant. And I've got to say, you know, full marks to Emirates here. They've done an absolutely astounding job on the presentation. Now, I don't mind paying a few extra quid, as you know, to be in certain parts of the aircraft. I can't even begin to imagine how much it would cost to be in this part of the aircraft, though. And but as long as somebody else is paying, maybe my boss at work, possibly, that would be fine. That's not going to happen, though. But nonetheless, if you have got the money and you can afford to do it, I highly recommend the first class suite in Emirates. It is exceptional.
Well, this is rather nice, Nev.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So, your first time on a 380, seeing the kind of passenger
Well, yeah.
prototype
I
variant.
went on to the 380 that was at Farnborough with Al. But this Emirates 380 is exceptional. And actually, the economy seating's really good as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the seat pitch is pretty reasonable, but the standard of finish in the whole aircraft is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. We've been upstairs and had a look at the first class suites. We've seen the nice first class seat which you sat in and had a nice try in, and also the shower room as well, which is really nice to have that option to have a shower on a flight. After a long flight, it'd be nice, actually. Yeah. But no, I have to say, it's Emirates do have a great economy seat. We are in the front row here, right at the very front of the aircraft on the lower deck. So we have got lots of legroom here. So I think these seats are probably a kind of premium seat to get, I think, on the 380. But
You don't think this is a £100 seat?
no. But saying that, actually, the seats in here on the 380, for those of you who have not had the chance to fly on the 380, even in the rows back, the high density rows, there is still a sizable amount of legroom for you on there. And also, one of the things as well which impressed me is the size of the screen, the IFE screens as well, which are a good size as well for economy. But no, it's a great all-round package.
I think the other thing is that, you know, Emirates have realised that this is obviously a long-haul aircraft, and you're going to be in it for 13, 14, 15 hours or whatever it is, and therefore, you know, the normal aircraft, whatever that is these days, is just not going to cut it. So they've really gone out of their way to design a superb interior. And even if you're not paying top dollar, you know, if you're in the economy section, it's very reasonable indeed.
Well, actually, one of the things to note was that in the shower room, in the first class section, there's still a IFE screen in the shower room. So whilst you're having a shower, you can still catch up on the latest episodes of, you know, Breaking Bad or anything like that.
Or BBC News, maybe.
Or BBC News. Actually, Nev would probably be watching BBC News, to be fair.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great, you know, Emirates, you know, we can't praise it enough. It's a great airline. I've personally flown Emirates quite a few times now in economy, and also had the great chance of flying in business class on the 777 many years ago. But I think I'm looking forward, Nev, to seeing how Emirates bring this premium economy kind of product out. See how good that is. How they can improve on the already great economy products.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's an exceptionally well presented aircraft, isn't it? And the 380's come in for a bit of stick, hasn't it, over the last few months?
It has, yes.
But I still rate it as an absolutely superb aircraft. I've never flown a one myself yet, but from what I can see from this Emirates example, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So Nev, shall we get back out into the sun? Because it is rather warm outside.
Oh yes. If you see beads of sweat on our foreheads, they are real, ladies and gentlemen.
They are real.
Yeah.
And I think my word of the day for that is the word penchant.
Penchant.
I think that's definitely the word of the day for the podcast. I think that's going to appear in the title there somewhere. I particularly like Tanya's
Nev has a
response to that.
penchant.
Yeah, it's like Nev is such a bon vivant.
Well.
It's very good. It's excellent. Great. I mean, I know we mentioned this when Will was here, obviously, because Will's had the pleasure of flying quite regularly on. Sort of like, well, certainly business class anyway, and I know that sort of like that old school walnut dash look is not everybody's cup of tea, is it? It's not. It's. I mean, I personally love it. I think it's a really nice finish, but I must admit it does make a new aircraft look quite dated, like immediately.
A bit like the old Jags.
Yeah,
the old school Jaguars.
I mean, we all had a Rover at some point in our life
that
had that
horrible fake wood
exactly.
interior. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, it's a sort of similar sort of thing, but it's a great product, isn't it? Yeah. One day, Carlos, you know, we'll fly Emirates First Class one day.
And if you're listening at Emirates, we love you.
Yeah, we love you. Yes, absolutely. We'd love a go. Yeah, definitely.
It'll be nice to try it one day, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'll do when I leave the studio today. I'll go and get us a lottery ticket and
yes, please do.
See how we get on.
See how we get on there. Anyway,
so we might not be here next week.
Right. Okay.
We
won
might
the lottery.
I've won the lottery. So that is where we are.
How good would the 300th be if we won the lottery?
I'd buy Heathrow.
Well. Right, okay.
Rename it.
He's being a bit silly.
P2K throw.
Ignore. I'm embarrassed to be your friend all of a sudden. We need to abort. It's time to end the show, I think.
Yeah, we're going to start to bring the show to a close now. And don't forget, as we said at the start of the show, we can announce our venue for our 300th show on the 11th of January.
We've had several emails coming already. Keep them coming into it. Podcast at planetalkinguk.com. That's podcast at planetalkinguk.com. We would love to see you there. Great views of Heathrow's runway are to look forward to, along with a spotted lunch that will be provided as well. So,
food nibbles and snacks provided by the guys at the Renaissance Hotel at London Heathrow. And don't forget, if you want to take yourselves over to their website, they have got reduced room rates still. So if you want to book yourself a room, take yourself
Mash
over
is saying,
there.
going back to what we were talking about, it's a Tag Gordy. Yeah.
Tag Gordy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So podcast at planetalkinguk.com.
I will, of course, put all the relevant bits and pieces and details on our social media pages.
That will come out today.
That'll be on. I'll do that today. Yeah. And as Matt said, if you want to come and join us for the 300th show in January on the 11th on the Saturday, do send us an email and let us know you are going to come. Like I said, Matt said we've already had some emails in, so that's great. I know. I'm really
keep coming. So we've got plenty of room this year. There's no restrictions.
Yeah, we've got loads of room
this year. So do keep the emails coming. As I say, the limit is basically sort of 70-ish. So you know, if we hit that, I shall melt. Well, my mind will be officially melted.
That'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is where we're going to bring episode number 297 to a close. Big thanks to everyone who has joined us on this Saturday afternoon. Or morning or evening, wherever you are in the world. And hopefully you will all have a fantastic weekend and enjoy your Sunday roasts.
So you're off DJing tonight?
Yes, I am actually going to it is my last wedding tonight that I'll be doing tonight. So I've got one more wedding to do tonight, disco, at a very old venue.
Oh, this must be St. Peter's Brewery.
St. Peter's Hall. It's like this place is like built in the 1400s. It's so old. It's not even funny. It's like made out of wood and stuff.
Okay.
So I'll be there tonight, and that's my Saturday.
Well,
night.
everyone have fantastic weeks, and we'll see you.
Take
all
care,
next
everyone.
Week. Take care.
Bye everyone. Woohoo!